Manoj sir, we are live. We can start.
Okay. So, good afternoon to everyone, and good afternoon to our esteemed panelists of this Triple A series, sixth Triple A series. Uh, Again, the today topic, annual secretarial compliance report, very hot one. Every practicing company secretary looking for this particular annual secretarial compliance report, and they are ready to deliberate and know about so many things about annual compliance report, because there is so many things with this annual compliance report, because SEBI have very much focus on that particular annual secretarial compliance report. So, lot of responsibility enshrined on practicing company secretary, and all regulators looking practicing company secretary to assist them to regulate the corporate environment through corporate governance. And this annual secretarial compliance report more specific to SEBI and SEBI related laws, regulation, notification circulars issued by the SEBI, and they are more particular about those things. Our esteemed panelist is going to deliberate on these topics, and hope this session is going to be very much effective and fruitful for all stakeholders whosoever be joined with us today. With this thing, I introduce our panelist. Our first panelist is Raksha Jain, very much known for their experience and knowledge about the annual secretarial compliance report. She is chartered accountant, having 12 years of experience, and working with NSE from past 11 years, and currently working as senior manager listing compliance team at NSE. So after that, we have Devendra Deshpande ji, uh, very much known for us. We everyone knowing about him. Our this ICSI is knowing very much, as he served as a president, vice president, president in 2021, vice president 2021, and 2022 as a president. Apart from that, his area of practice is corporate law, foreign exchange law, audit, intercompany law, allied laws, secretarial audits, and not not so many things. He is company secretary to receive first company secretary to receive Youth Icon Award by Pranand Yuva Forum. So again, this is the proud thing for us. Uh, After that, welcome, sir. Uh, After that, we have with us CS Binay MA. Uh, Again, very well named in the corporate world. He is serving as a company secretary. Uh, his company secretary having experience of 17 years, 17 years corporate law governance matter, advising the board and senior manager, handling complex transaction, guiding a stakeholder on legal compliance, and uh, he is serving as a company secretary, Medico Limited. He was conferred with Governance Professional of the Year award under prestigious 23rd ICSI National Award for Excellence in Corporate Governance. So again, this is the big thing for us. Presently, the company secretary and compliance officer of Marico Limited. Prior to this, he handled a wide range of secretary and compliance functions at Wipro Limited. So welcome, Binayji. Hope this session is going to be fruitful for us. First, with this thing, I start with the Raksha Jain. Please go ahead with your comment and remarks on this particular topic
Yeah,
as a
thank you, sir.
regulator
Thank you so
perspective.
much. Yeah. Can I share my screen?
Yes,
Is it visible?
yes, it is visible.
Yeah. Uh, so basically today here we are for annual secretary compliance report discussion. It's 24 regulation 24A of SEBI LODR. It's applicable to the listed entity and material unlisted subsidiaries incorporated in India. It's due. It's an annual compliance which is to be done within 30 days, 60 days from the end of financial year. With the recent SEBI LODR, the companies listed entities are required to appoint a secretarial auditor, which shall be a peer-reviewed company secretary, as well as it is board recommended and it is shareholders to approve in the AGM. uh, a secretarial auditor has to be a peer reviewed CS, as well as it has to not incur any disqualifications in SEBI, and the firm may be appointed if major partners are eligible. The next is the 10. As per the amendments, the tenure of secretarial auditor for the financial year 25-26 shall be, if it is an individual CS, then it has to be a term of 5 years. And if it's a firm, then it has to be a two terms of 5 years each. Any association before this 1st of April shall be not be counted. 5 years cooling period is given if they for the appointment of the annual secretarial compliance report, and any vacancy created is to be filled by the auditor by the board of the listed entity. Next year we comes for the exchange observations, which we I feel it is very important for this discussion. The annual secretarial compliance report shall be submitted as per the SEBI format, and it should be in the XBRL form along with this PDF, which shall cover the covering letter of the company. The major observations which we observe in the annual secretarial compliance report is the observations given. Many observations given by the PCS are generic in nature. We cannot go back. We have no details about it, like the period, the which announcement they are referring to. So we request the PCS to be very specific about the non-compliances they are giving in the annual secretarial compliance report. Or that is what I mean, so that we can go back and we can do it, check it across. And the next thing is that all the SOP as well as non-SOP non-compliances shall be specifically included in the report, in the current report as well as the previous report, so there's anything which is not missed. And this next step is that the management responses should be very specific. It should be specific to the non-compliance itself. It is not like the we have already taken action or anything like that. It should be taken that what action we have taken and why it was missed. That way, kind of a thing. And the format also says that the previous year's non-compliance along with the action taken by the listed entity shall also be included. So these are the major observations which the exchange has, and it shall be included specifically in the annual secretarial compliance report. Thank you.
So after that, it's turn for our own president, ex-president, uh, Deshpande.
Yeah, so thank you, Manojji, for that brief
From the
introduction.
perspective of a practicing company secretary, as we
Yeah,
heard about the regulator perspective, now it is the turn for uh, practicing company secretary.
definitely, Manojji. Am I audible?
Yes, it's clearly.
Yeah. So, me and Vinay, we both would be taking up the further points in respect of this annual secretarial compliance report. Thank you, Rakshaji, for that initial introduction about what is the perspective from the regulators are. And we do not have any presentation per se, but we will go into the point-wise requirements as per the format prescribed by ICSI. So recently, last week, Institute has actually issued one format in which the annual secretarial compliance report for the year 2025 has to be given, has to be issued by a practicing company secretary. And before we get into the contents of this certificate, let me give you a brief idea about why this particular certificate has come into the picture, and from where we got this unique opportunity as a practicing company secretary or a company secretary for that matter. As a profession, this is a very good recognition for a practicing company secretary. Earlier, we used to have the corporate governance report, which a company, practicing company secretary or statutory auditors can issue. And that was in respect of all the compliances of, especially corporate governance compliances of SEBI LODR, especially Regulation 17 to 27. So this was a one certificate which company secretaries had some role to play in, and but it was not an exclusive certificate. Actually, corporate governance certificate could have been issued either by a practicing CS or by a statutory auditor. And for years, Institute has been trying its level best to get that exclusivity about uh, some certification, non-financial certification under SEBI laws. So in 2019, I believe this annual secretarial compliance report was introduced by SEBI, and this particular introduction actually gave a very good edge to the company secretaries, especially in practice, because now that regulator is not looking at your secretarial audit report per se. There is a lot of difference between a secretarial audit and an annual secretarial compliance report, because audit report is something which is having a lot of different like view. So whenever I am doing an audit as a practicing CS, I would pay attention to materiality. I would, it will be based on my opinion, it will be based on my view, and then interpretation of law. And definitely the most important point is materiality. So if a small non-compliance is there, I can say that okay, this is for me it is not material. So I can still say that the company has significantly complied with the provisions of the law. So if the company is required to file say 100 documents with SEBI and one document is missed by say 3 minutes, in secretarial audit, I can definitely state that company has reasonably or significantly or satisfactorily complied with the SEBI laws. But that is the difference between annual secretarial compliance report, because this is kind of a certificate or a report which is issued by a practicing company secretary, and it is nothing but a fact finding. So if you look at the format of annual secretarial compliance report or the intention of SEBI, there, see, if you look at the contents, the laws covered under annual secretarial compliance report and secretarial audit, they both are same. But the in-depth study or in-depth audit of a particular point is more into annual secretarial compliance report. And this annual compliance report has to be filed within 60 days, as specifically mentioned by Raksha ji. So it is nothing to do with your financial statement adoption. It is nothing to do with your annual report, because there are various practices wherein the financial statements are approved by the board in the May month, but director's report is approved in the month of August, and the secretarial audit is issued in the month of August for the annual general meeting to be held in September. So this kind of practices are also followed in corporates, but annual secretarial compliance report then becomes a very important base for analyzing the compliance level of a company in respect of SEBI laws. And uh, SEBI has come out with this particular unique certificate, and they have given an exclusive right to the practicing company secretaries to certify this. So we were struggling for exclusivity for years, but this was the first exclusive certificate which company secretaries got from SEBI. There were a lot of other certifications and recognitions. I'm really happy the way SEBI has recognized many of our points, including the peer-reviewed company secretary, peer-reviewed firm. So recently, 5 years appointment of secretarial audit. All these things, even though the company law has does not have that provision, but SEBI has already gone ahead and they have accepted our recommendations. So really thankful to the Central Council, the leadership at ICSI, that they have really worked hard for getting such recognitions on for practicing company secretaries. So when this annual secretarial compliance report came, it was a big boom for all the company secretaries. Yeah, because all listed companies would require an in-depth analysis of compliance of SEBI laws, and slowly the things are moving in a better direction. That's what I would believe, because now you must be aware that there is a consultation paper which has been issued by SEBI in respect of annual secretarial compliance report, not applicable for 24-25. It will be applicable for 25-26. But if you look at the consultation paper, there is a possibility that all the certificates which are being issued by a practicing company secretary in the annual report, they are going to merge it, like annual secretarial compliance report, corporate governance report, director disqualification, non-disqualification certificate, then certificate under ESOP regulations. All these things will get merged, and there will be one concrete certificate issued by a practicing company secretary. And if you look at the consultation paper, they are making it mandatory now to attach this particular annual secretarial compliance report to annual return. This is not applicable for 24-25, but will be applicable for 25-26 if the consultation paper is moved in the direction in which SEBI has thought about. Because if you look at that consultation paper, they have specifically mentioned these points. So it might be a situation that from next year, if all these things hold good, and if the consultation paper moves on the way it is moving on, then company secretaries would get an exclusive area of certification of corporate governance, because they are saying that if annual secretarial compliance report is issued and corporate governance report is attached to it, then the companies will be exempt from taking a separate certificate. So I think this annual secretarial compliance report will become a bigger uh, audit for a practicing company secretary when it comes to SEBI laws. So this is what is happening around. As practicing company secretary, you all must be aware that there is a limit over issuing annual secretarial compliance report. So a practicing company secretary can issue maximum 10 annual secretarial compliance report. The earlier limit was 5 plus 5. If you are peer reviewed, you will get 5 additional. But now the rule says that only a peer reviewed practicing CS can issue annual secretarial compliance report. Therefore, the total limit is 10. So 5 plus 5 is now not relevant. So now you will have to, you can issue maximum 10 annual secretarial compliance report per partner per PCS in a practicing firm. In addition to that, definitely I would like to emphasize on one very important change in the guidelines which has happened in 2023, which I have seen that very few company secretaries are actually like following that. So, as per regulation 8A, every practicing company secretary, while taking this assignment of annual secretarial compliance report, ideally should intimate to the earlier practicing company secretary that he has got this assignment in respect of issue of annual secretarial compliance report. But in addition to that, the guidelines have changed for a practicing company secretary. So if you look at guideline number 5.2 of ICSI Management and Development of CS Company Secretaries in Practice guidelines, practicing company secretary is also required to take a NOC from the earlier practicing company secretary. So this particular point was missing in our profession earlier, because you all must be aware, for chartered accountants, change of statutory auditors, they will wait for that NOC to come and then only they will perform their duties. Now this particular point has been included in the guidelines of ICSI since 2023, and all PCS should take care that if they are getting a new assignment, then definitely they should go for not only intimation but also for the uh, NOC of the earlier practicing company secretary if there are any dues payable to him by the company. So these are few points which I wanted to share it with you before we get into the format and all. But there have been a lot of good things which are happening around, wherein the secretarial audit appointment has been done for 5 years. So there is more what I would say, there is more freedom to a company secretary to sometimes qualify a report if there are various qualifications which he has observed. Further, I have seen that company secretaries should at least look at all public documents which are available. So we will see that when we look into the formats and all, and what is the role of a practicing company secretary. So these are few things which I wanted to share it with you before we get into the format. I think over to Vinay ji or Manoj, you can request. Yeah,
Devendra sir, just
yeah,
one point here.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, we have a secretarial auditor,
yeah,
and after December 12th, there is a lot of things with the practicing companies case. So if we appointed as a secretarial auditor in a listed company, so same secretarial auditor can do this annual
yes.
compliance, secretarial compliance report, or can be done by a different practicing company secretary as well.
Yeah, very good point, Manojji. I missed that particular point. But I think Institute has recently issued a list of services which can be
That's right.
rendered by a secretarial auditor to a company, and that was issued on 23rd April. I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, 23rd April. So on 23rd April, SEBI issued a circular in which FAQs were mentioned. In that FAQ, it was mentioned that ICSI would come out with list of services which can be rendered and which cannot be rendered. And I'm really happy that ICSI on 24th April, the first email from ICSI was having that list of things which you can do and which you cannot do. And annual secretarial compliance report can be given by the secretarial auditor appointed. So basically, there is a concept called as management service, which is the most important point which every practicing company secretary should remember. So secretarial auditor cannot provide management services. This is one point which we all should remember, and there should not be a conflict between the audit and any other professional assignment which he does. So, for example, if I am preparing the minutes for a company, or if I am helping the company to write down the registers, then I should not act as a secretarial auditor. There has to be a difference between a maker and checker, and that has been there with chartered accountants for years. And with this 5 years thing, we have received a recognition, but in addition to that, we have also got the responsibilities of not doing and checking. Both the things are not in our hand. So preparing will be done by somebody else, and audit will be done by somebody else. Yeah, sorry, there was some issue with
It's
my
okay.
network.
It's okay
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Hmm.
So that's it. That's.
That's
I think
great.
that
You had clarified that is the management services. Every practicing company secretary must consider 23rd April suggestion circular or suggestion issued by the ICSI. Please keep in mind while doing this secretarial audit or annual certificate compliance report. Now it's done for corporate. It's Vinay ji, as Devendra sir has rightly put it, the aspect of practicing side. Now you are handling the corporate. So, similar pattern, how corporate respond to this particular specific aspect of SEBI and related to related laws of the SEBI. So it's done for Vinay sir.
Thank you, Manojji. Hope I'm audible.
It's clearly.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for the opportunity. Pleasure to share this forum with Devendra ji and Raksha ji. Um, like you said, I will lay down the I'll lay down how it works in the corporate side of things, how we look at it. So maybe I'll just take 5 minutes to sort of set the context. So if you look at the governance landscape today, what's happening? Many years ago, governance used to be only a listed company's forte. But when you look at it today, I think startup governance is having more share of news than, let's say, a listed company governance. We also have startups rapidly listing, which means the migration time between being private and probably not having 20 new requirements versus the changeover to the new regime is like very fast. In a matter of 3 4 months, you'll probably be listed, right? um, we are also seeing that a lot of governance related aspects are no longer isolated to compliance aspects alone. And let me give an example of this. Financial governance is also part of corporate governance, and in fact, the most critical part. And company secretaries do have a critical role to play in it, and we shouldn't shy away from it. Similarly, CSR, ESG, all of these are becoming facets of governance, and it's only a matter of time that one gets certification around each of these areas, right? When you look at business facing activities, for example, RPTs, I think RPTs is probably one of the top two most critical governance parameters in listed companies today, and we'll talk about it later in the formats as well. Uh, RPTs are all business facing. I mean, how you do transaction, and we have seen in the news how RPTs, are forming bedrocks of some of the leading issues that we are facing in corporate India over the last few years. Um, the other side of things is, for example, the Reg 30 disclosures that SEBI has recently amended. If you look at many of the areas, again, all of them are business focused. So is there a new business license? Is there a litigation that is causing you not to work smoothly? Is there any fraud and things like that? What I'm trying to communicate is that don't look at governance slash SCR slash sec audit only to the extent of filing forms, doing policies and things like that. It's actually an expanded universe as of now, right? Now the regulator's expectation, and Rakshaji, thanks for setting the context, is very clear that governance encompasses all of this. And therefore, either as practitioners or as people inside the organization, our duty is extending to all of these facets. Of course, the level of responsibility might be different, level of primary accountability might be different, right? But it extends to everything. So when we talk of a compliance certification like an SCR, and while and if you really look at the language, the depth and the responsibility or onus that it is putting on us is very, very deep, right? There are very broad brush statements saying anything and everything under LODR, anything and everything under insider trading. Have you checked that this is factually accurate, right? So there's a lot of merging of kind of expectation, responsibility, accountability into one. If you look at our own role now, how it has evolved as company secretaries, and one of the big changes that has come about, apart from what Devendraji mentioned, is on the listed side, the compliance officers are now supposed to be one level below the board, right? So why I'm trying to give this context is we can no longer be a very isolated governance, not an isolated conversations. You're really looking at a business impacting kind of a proposition here. Right? So our role, if I were to talk from the company side, is to put in those systems, those policies, those processes, create those awareness within the system, which ultimately leads to the right output in the reporting. It doesn't work the other way around. We don't start with the report format and say it's calling out 10 things, so I should now work on these 10 things, right? So when we look at it from the corporate perspective, I think we are focusing top down, which eventually leads to the right reporting and helping our friends on the practicing side also get the right data to do the audit. Because at the end of the day, I think we're all working on the same aspect on two different sides. So this is how a company would look at it. The other point I want to kind of touch upon again is for all our benefit of all our members. Is the approach to audit from the company's perspective. I think gone are those days where one should look at audit as something that could bring out a negative point, right? Actually, company secretaries would need to look at audit as one of the layers that gives them confidence that, yes, am I compliant or not, right? What is the expectation of the regulator? Are the key people within the organization able to say hand on heart that these compliances are being done properly, consistently, and wherever there are deviations, they're coming forward to the right forums and getting addressed appropriately, right? Now, for us to do this, it is sort of, there's a layer of defense, which is audit. And that audit can be internal audit, that audit can be secretarial audit or through secretarial compliance report. So I would urge my friends on the corporate side that look at SCR as a mode of engagement to improve something and do it better, right? Not everything leads to qualification, not everything leads to a call out. But even if you get those two new points which you can work on, let's say on RPT, for example, it's something that you made a difference in, right? My last point before I hand it back to Devendraji is on the consult paper that he was talking about. Definitely a step in the right direction. I think it is about time that various isolated parts of governance merged into one mega report. And like Devendraji mentioned, this is a 100% fact checking exercise. There's no what is it called? Tests or sample checks that you typically do in audit. The proof of pudding is in 100% accuracy, and that's actually how compliance is. If you non-comply once and comply 100 times, doesn't mean that everything is hunky dory, right? So I think this is a great certification slash report, like a health check on an annual basis, to say where we are on governance. So with this, I'll conclude my opening remarks and hand it back to you, Devendra.
So
Yeah,
again,
Manoj must be having a couple of questions for you. Go ahead.
sir, actually, the point which pointed out by Vinayji is absolutely right. Right now, there is a need to have a single things or so many reports covering all those things. So here, Sebi, what is this question relates to our regulator perspective, Raksha ji. So, Raksha ji, through this ACSR, what regulator actually wants to see and look into the detailed transaction? Through that, what is the intent of the regulator through this SCSR? What they want to achieve? And as a corporate side company secretary, as a practicing side company secretary, what points should take into consideration while formalizing this report?
So the expectation is very simple. Uh, just expectation is very simple that all the non-compliances of the listed entities shall be known by the secretarial auditor, and it should be
Your Raksha ji, your voice is bouncing. Some other instrument is on there.
no, no.
Okay,
Is it
please
audible
continue.
now? Is it better now?
It
Yeah.
is better now.
Yeah. The intent is very clear that all non-compliances shall be known by the listed entity shall be knowing all the management of the listed entity shall be knowing, and they should be aware about the non-compliances as well as the non-compliances of the listed entity shall also be known to the exchange so that wherever applicable actions are to be taken, the exchange too can take it.
So non-compliances, we have LODR. Under the LODR, we have regulator. SEBI has already specified so many penalties for every non-compliance. So, but
Yeah,
it is
but
the intent of the regulator only. We have to check only non-compliance.
so that is a
Because
basic.
as Binayji told about the RPT, so many things covered under this SCR, and that requires a detailed perspective.
Maintain
They
a good
want to
governance.
financial things. Regulator wants to enter into the financial things, or just want to compliance only.
No, no. It has to be an overall compliance, governance of the company should be the good one because at the end we are answerable to the investors as well. So I think the both the points should be equally given equally responsibility.
Okay. So same things goes to both the panelists. So what is the regulator intent? Devendra sir.
Yeah. So, Manojji, the thing is, earlier as we said that in secretarial audit, what we do is test check basis, take samples, apply materiality to it, and we overall look at the scope of the things, whether the company is good in compliance. We don't get into each and every compliance, even if in certain cases there are now concurrent audits. We are getting like practicing company secretaries getting good fees. They will employ good people. There will be a concurrent audit on a quarterly basis or on a very regular basis. The audits are being done in a better manner as compared to a few years before. Now we are a matured auditors. That's what I believe as practicing company secretary, and our role has completely changed. Still, we may not report each and every small missed compliances in our secretarial audit report. But now you must be aware that all these stock exchanges, maybe NSE, BSE, Rakshaji will confirm this, but they are using good AI tools, artificial intelligence tools, and wherein they will be able to get the information about non-compliances and understand that it should match with the secretarial auditor's or
Correct.
annual
Correct.
secretarial compliance report. So this is the
Correct.
intention that even if the AI tools work or not, the practicing company secretary should act as a eyes of regulators. They should look at all the non-compliances and report. Now there is a hitch. There is a problem for a practicing company secretary. So regulators believe that practicing company secretary is working on their behalf, and company believes that practicing company secretary is working on their behalf. So we are in a fix. But as far as my understanding goes, practicing company secretaries are working for governance, and if there is a miss, there is a non-compliance, we will have to report. We do not have any option not to report. So ideally, one should be vigilant enough and should take a very proper stand when it comes to certification of annual secretarial compliance report. This is what my view is, and I think regulator is looking at us from this perspective.
Yes, at least the responsibility of the auditor shall be done. The
Yeah.
duties he has to perform.
Yes.
Binay ji?
I concur fully. So I think this is like a scorecard or a health check on governance at the end of the year. So we are telling our investors, apart from how the business is faring, you're also saying how we are on the governance. Um, I would put it in this way. Just how would you look at a qualification in a statutory auditor's report? That is looked at with complete seriousness. One analyzes the impact, implication, etc. A governance qualification is equally, if not more, serious for two reasons. One is, I think every stakeholder should know. And if something has gone wrong, one needs to know what has the company done to correct it. Second, and more importantly, I feel that something like this gives an indication of a certain pattern that might be developing, which may need to get corrected to protect, investor value and things like that. For example, an RPT not being approved by audit committee is to say that you've not complied with Regulation 24 of LODR and things like that. But then if you get into layers, does it reveal a different pattern, for example, right? So it is also need to be looked at in a little more detail, the way we look at an audit qualification in terms of cause, impact, and remediation, right? So I think the regulator's expectation is exactly that, right?
Yeah.
So can I start the question answer? Seeing
Should we?
so many. If you
Uh,
want, Devendra ji, anything else, please go ahead.
No, Manoj. I think we were supposed to go through the contents of the entire annual secretarial compliance report. But if there are a lot of questions which have come, then we'll
So,
take question answers, and alongside that, we'll also take the format.
so it's
Vinayji,
better.
Rakshaji, if you are fine, then we can do it like that, because the questions which are in the minds of people should get addressed.
Yeah, yeah, not an issue.
Certainly.
Yeah,
So
Manoj, you can go ahead
one
with the
brief
questions.
things. If 10 minutes, we can take the annexures of the secretarial report, and then after we start the questions.
Okay, no problem. 10
So
minutes. Let's try to do it in 10-15 minutes, because the
by all
contents are
three
like
speakers.
you. Yeah. So let's try to do it. I'll just so if we look at the format which has been prescribed by ICSI recently, so I had been seeing this normal process by ICSI to give a format of annual secretarial compliance report for last 3 years at least. I have seen institute issues annual secretarial compliance report format. It's a guidance or it's kind of a recommendatory format which has been issued by ICSI for the benefit of members, in which few disclaimers also have been added, wherein the practicing company secretary can safeguard themselves, or they can mention certain points that the main compliance requirement is on the company, and we are here to just report something like that. So we know that how the audit report looks like. We cannot make it look like a audit report wherein the responsibilities can be fixed, or samples can be mentioned or something like that. But our institute has prescribed a format, so we'll go by the contents of the format. So the first part of the entire certificate talks about what you have verified, and the 4 points which are mentioned in the format are all the documents and records made available by the company and its officers. Yeah. The filings which have been made by the company on the stock exchanges, the website of the company, and any other document uh, which was felt relevant by the practicing company secretary. So these 4 documents are the basic documents which are scrutinized by a practicing company secretary. And like companies like Vinay would provide certain information and these documents to a practicing CS, and then he will start his audit. So this is a starting point. So these 4 documents are verified. If certain information or certain document has not been provided, then it becomes very difficult for a practicing company secretary to certify. So there has to be a robust system in the practicing CS firm also, that what is your checklist, what kind of documents you want to verify. Yeah, because the scope has gone multifold. Yeah, if you look at, if you ask me, Manojji, today, that go in the company and certify whether company has complied with regulation 30, that's it. Simple one liner certificate. It would take months for me. Really, it will take months for me to understand that what were the requirements to report, and then I will check whether they have reported or not. I'll give you one very interesting example which I just went through. Yeah. So one company did a segment reporting in one quarter. Yeah. So they had a segment reporting, and new product was introduced. So therefore, and 10% of the asset, 10% of the asset value was crossing, and therefore they reported segment reporting. Earlier it was single segment, now there are double segment. As a PCS, you must look at this gap of single segment and dual segment, and in between whether the company has really reported regulation 30 for a new line of business. So this is how one should look at it. So one should not look at it only the LODR submissions, whether they have been done in time. It should be a comprehensive, comprehensive audit for certifying certain things like regulation 30. So Vinayji, your insights on this, if you have any input on this, and Rakshaji.
Thanks for setting that context. So I think the principles remain largely the same on the company side as well. One thing you touched upon, I'll elaborate, is on the need for having real-time documentation of whatever discussions and decisions are happening. So you gave the example of a Reg 30 disclosure. If I were the corporate, that gap between the two situations that you told, what will fill that gap? One is an assessment by the management of whether something triggers a compliance or not, backed by, let's say, an external opinion, because the management cannot itself say that I feel this way, so it's right. Uh, Whether it is documented and decided amongst the right people, right? So documentation is absolutely key, because over a period of time, if you have to go back and recollect everything, it is very difficult. And if I give this document, let's say, to Devendraji, you as a secretarial auditor, it makes sort of everything clear there, why company did this or didn't do this. So one is documentation. The other angle that I want to say, which you also touched upon, is I think one needs to go and check a lot of news articles apart from what the companies file. Because today we live in the world of social media, news travels fast. And that gives a lot of insights on events that might impact the company and therefore the compliance. Not all of them may be directly relevant, but you get the sense on that. So those are the two additional points I will add.
Yeah, Rakshaji, anything you want to add?
No, no. I think what Vinay sir said is correct. You need to be vigilant enough to be a good, the auditor. You
Yeah.
should have a thorough knowledge about the same.
Okay. Thank you.
So,
And yeah. Manoj, go ahead. Go ahead.
so many questions, and specifically this Regulation 30.
Yeah.
And in that context, this is the Regulation 30 is the Pandora box for every company secretary, and every day we are facing a new challenge in that respect. So, one question from the audience side. The SAR for the year ended is submitted by the PCS to the company prior to the board meeting, under which the PCS capture all the non-compliance and penalties levied during the financial year under consideration. Now, in relation to Regulation 23, Sub-Regulation 9, read with Regulation 30 of the LODR for quarter ending March 31st, where the penalty is levied for delayed RPT disclosure to the exchange after the submission of SCR by the PCS to the company. The penalty so levied does not fall in the financial year under consideration. Hence, the
Correct.
same cannot be technically captured in SCR for that particular financial year. What is the clear position with respect to levy of such penalty, and what is the view of exchange?
Sir, as per me, the penalties and the non-compliance which occur in the current year would only be applicable. But as a good corporate governance, you can give the till the time the SCR is submitted. If you give that, then there is a no harm.
Yeah.
So it's a
That is
two-way thing. It's a two-way thing. You can take it in any which ways because March 25 falls under the financial year of 24-25, but the post submission penalties and everything is covered after the 1st April 2025. So it can be taken it till the time the SCR is submitted, but it should be covered either in this year or in the previous year. That's the exchange view.
so if PCS is covering for the previous year only, not covering for the
No,
financial
but
year.
current year and the next year, if you're saying for March 25, then the penalties which are levied for the in April or May month, the same will be covered in the next year.
That's okay. Next question. It's related to SDD. As SCR not covered about the SDD. So, SDD question is kindly discuss SDD compliance report for companies for which SCR is not applicable, and the companies relating to maintenance of SDD software. ये question समझ में नहीं आया.
हाँ नहीं आया.
ये गलत है.
नहीं,
Next
नहीं.
question.
So Manoj ji, the thing is, agar annual secretarial compliance, if the company is required to take an annual secretarial compliance report under this regulation 24A, then they are not required to submit any quarterly SDD compliance certificate. Now that quarterly has become annually as per April 2025 circular issued by SEBI. So now the thing is, either you submit annual secretarial compliance report if you are required to do that. If you are not required to do that, if your net worth and turnover is below the threshold as mentioned in regulation 15 or any other debt listed, normal debt listed, not a high debt listed company, then in that case you are not required to give annual secretarial compliance report. So to those companies, SDD compliance certificate is required. It's a 6-pointer certificate which has been already the format of which has been already on the stock exchanges website and already issued by SEBI. So I think if this is the question, then this is the answer.
Okay, but okay, it's okay.
No,
Next.
no, understand that in current format also, there is a specific mention at point number 10 of the
Yes.
table which says that whether the company has complied with Regulation 3, Sub-Regulation 5, and 3, Sub-Regulation 6 of SEBI Insider Trading, Prohibition of Insider Trading Regulations 2015. Those regulations are pertaining only to SDD. So
That's
Correct.
SDD is already covered under Annual
that
Secretarial
is
Compliance Report.
covered, and
Yes.
directly, indirectly, you have to cover in your SCR.
Yeah, and anyways, you are going to certify at the top of it that company has complied with the SEBI regulation, applicable SEBI regulations.
That's it.
So even if you don't mention it or anything, you miss out. And so everything is on your shoulders. So that is what I I believe. You cannot
Again,
escape.
again, another question related to SDD. If the listed entity underwent an acquisition during the year, resulting in a change of management, and the old management was not maintaining SDD, and Regulation 24A is not applicable to such company, how should the practicing company secretary issue the SDD compliance certificate pursuant to circular dated 18th October 2024 relating to a standard operating process under SEBI PTI Regulation 2015 for ensuring compliance with structural digital database?
There will be a non-compliance even if the management changes. I think the company remains the same. There will be a there will be a non-compliance, and I don't think that there is any problem in the SDD certificate, the quarterly certificate which we used to issue earlier. There was one paragraph, additional paragraph in that certificate, which said that whether the non-compliances of previous quarter have also been corrected. So in the next quarter, when the new management takes over and they apply all these SDD softwares and implement those things, then in the next quarter, the earlier non-compliance will get cured. That's what my understanding is.
It is absolutely correct. And if Rakshaji wants to say something on this,
No, I agree with sir.
okay. Another question relate to again same thing, secretarial auditor versus this SCR report person, practicing company secretary. This question is the CS doing the secretarial audit, secretarial compliance report called a secretarial auditor for the purpose of LODR and also the Companies Act? And how is this auditor to be appointed for 2025 in the AGM as stipulated in LODR when ASC is to be filed within 60 days and AGM can be held by 30 September?
But the appointment and reappointment is applicable from financial year 25-26, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that is absolutely
Yes,
correct.
so we all three are in agreement.
No,
Yes.
and basically, a practicing company secretary can call any other practicing company secretary. That is not a problem. The thing is, he has to have his own individual verification of all records. He should not rely on the information provided by secretarial audit. The first part of the question which you asked, I believe it's a strict no-no. Just for comfort, he can have a word with secretarial auditor, but he cannot rely on other company secretary. He has to perform his own duties separately. That is what my understanding
Correct.
is.
So
Correct.
my,
Absolutely.
I think from this question, I infer that with the appointment of practicing a secretarial auditor is mandatory indirectly for the SCR also.
So I think if I can just clarify that there are two, three questions I think within that question. So for the year, financial year FY25, anyway, you have a secretarial auditor under the old regime who is issuing the SCR. So he will issue the SCR for that financial year. That has got nothing to do with the new requirement that's come. The new requirement is FY26 onwards, for which you will appoint the auditor in months' time, which means the next year's SCR is all issued at the AGM, right? So hence there is no issue as such, and there's no need to confuse the parameters that has come out recently.
Yeah.
Absolutely clear. Next question is, please clarify if Regulation 24A Annual Secretarial ACSR is applicable to material subsidiary of listed company according to LODR, 24A, only secretarial audit is applicable to listed company, and its material subsidiary and secretarial compliance report is applicable to listed company only. Yes.
Absolutely, yes. So there are two parts in Regulation 24A. One is secretarial audit, which is applicable to a listed entity and its material subsidiary. That is part number one. Part number two is annual secretarial compliance report, which is only applicable to the listed entity. That's it.
That's it.
No need to be confused, because material unlisted public company, material unlisted subsidiary may not be required to undergo all these regulations. There is only one specific regulation of material subsidiaries that has to be followed by. But I don't think that is the perspective. So it is very clear.
Uh, Next question is, when you copied rotation of secretarial appointment for a statutory auditor, will you also ensure fees like a statutory auditor? Why do these rotation situation to PCS? As it is, we are getting mega fees. This is irrelevant. Uh, a company appointed, a company has appointed a PCS firm in 2024-25 for 3 years, 24-25, 25, 26, 26, 27. So in that case, company need to be take approval from shareholder or not?
As
So,
Yeah.
per the regulation with effective 1st April, it has to appointed from the financial year 24-26. So for me, it will be that the company has to appoint it.
Company has to appoint again.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
the
just to
regulations will override the resolutions which are passed, and you will have to follow the new regulations and appoint it for 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
So earlier
And again,
appointment,
there is no option with the company to appoint for a lesser period,
okay.
and that has been clarified by SEBI.
SEBI circular dated 31st December 2020 per required 24A certificate to confirm compliance with the guidelines for disclosure of employee benefit scheme related document as prescribed in the said circular. However, the NSE master circular for listed company dated April 30, 2025 appears to have omitted this requirement. Kindly clarify the same.
I'll
You
check
can
this, sir. This should not be happening, but I'll check this, sir.
you can check the format issued by ICSI. It has got that
Yes.
paragraph in respect of ZA, clause ZA of 46 of LODR.
Yeah,
Yes.
and in any case, the LODR has got amended to have this requirement. So
Yeah,
regardless
yeah.
of whether it is there in another procedure specifying document or not, the primary law has prescribed it. So we have
Yeah.
to follow that.
Yeah, and anyways, you are going to certify, even if you don't mention it in a separate paragraph per se, you are going to mention it at the top that company has complied with LODR, except the following. That means this particular point is being covered.
Correct.
Absolutely. Sir, my question is, as per previous PCS, there is a no compliance by the company 2023-24. After the new PCS was appointed for 24-25 and new was observed some non-compliance made by the company which was not shown by the previous PCS. So question is that current PCS should put in the ACR for the year 2024-5 in the column of the listed entity has taken the following action to comply with the observation made in previous report.
Definitely. He has to apply because he will be the ultimate person who will be signing the PCS, SSCR. So he has to comply.
If I can
Certainly,
preempt additional questions when in doubt, disclose more so from the PCS side. So uh,
Yeah.
absolutely,
So,
yes.
for their own advantage, they must declare must disclose whatever come before him during the process of this reporting as an additional item if nothing is mentioned in the annexures and anywhere else.
but I think there is a concept called as review period. and we'll have to stick to the 1st April to 31st March. And if there are any non-compliances of previous year which you have observed, yeah, you it will be very difficult for you to mention anything, because then there will be a conflict between the company secretaries, this thing also, plus the annexure B of this annual secretarial compliance report, which requires this year's company secretary to talk about previous year's non-compliances. Those are the reported non-compliances. Nowhere it says non-reported non-compliances. So I think as a PCS, if I get a assignment for 24-25, I will restrict myself to 24-25.
Rakshaji, this is Devendra sir is saying absolutely correct. This is acceptable to the regulator because legally we are appointed for a particular financial year. So how can we
Yes.
comment on the items which are not before us?
But sir, it has already come under the purview of the auditor, no? So he has to,
That
if
is
he,
reported item. If, as Devendra sir has told, it is the reported item. If it is the reported item, then it's okay. But if it is not a reported item, then in that case, how we can
then
comment
he
on
may,
that?
as per me, he can at least add it and say that these were not reported in the previous year. He can add a note in that, as per us, because ultimately the for the ACR, he will be, if he knew, and if he doesn't answer, and if we have any questions, then he'll be answerable, no? Although the previous secretarial auditor, we will go back to him, but
Yeah.
still, as a good corporate governance, I think the secretarial auditor can come.
Binayji?
Yeah, no, so
Yeah.
I think I'll just go back to the principle that it's better you disclose. I understand the point Devendraji is making, but one specific point you may want to check is the default still subsisting in the year in which you've taken the audit? Most of the times, situations that are covered in SCR are kind of, going beyond the financial year. So, you may want to just check that and not just cut off because the year is different.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. That I completely agree. But somehow, like, there might be historical, so then there is no end, right? So if I find
Yeah.
a non-compliance maybe 4 years back, that also have to be reported. I don't know how a PCS would restrict himself. I would, as a PCS, I would stick to my review period. Definitely, I agree with Vinay, wherein he said that if it is a continuing default, definitely I will have to mention it. Very difficult. So practically very difficult, I believe.
Oh, questions are so many and time constraint is there. So many questions we are receiving. One important, I'm thinking this. Under the current format, under point number 12, additional non-compliance, if any. This is the point number under 12. All the non-compliance observed for any SEBI regulation, circular guidance note, etc. is to be captured by PCS. In case due to some delayed filing, there was penalty levied and the same is captured under this point 12. Since it is captured here, whether the same is to be captured again under deviation action taken details of violation segment of the format.
Yes, it should be. Ideally, it should be. You can
Yes.
either, you can cover it, yes.
Yeah, madam. Go ahead. Go ahead. Rakshaji, go ahead, please.
No, no, sir, you carry on, sir, please.
No, 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 no,
No,
no.
no, no,
Please, please,
Rakshaji,
please, go.
please,
Please go ahead.
this is from your side, please.
I think the violation should, with the about table, it has to be mentioned correctly, definitely, because that is a specific one. So I think it is better if we disclose it up rather than the additional one.
So
Yeah.
I concur for an additional reason that the management response is possible in the first one. So if I look at it from a corporate side, there's an
Perfect.
opportunity to explain remedial measures or the reasons behind this. So definitely it should feature in the first half.
Correct. Correct.
One,
I also believe the same way.
one another question from Rakshaji. Can a secretarial auditor who has issued secretarial audit report for the year 2024-25 be appointed as a CS KMP of the same company after surrender of
No,
COP with effect from
no,
June 2025.
no, 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 no. Secretarial auditor and CS cannot be the same person.
No. Very rare situation, but I don't know.
I think we have got one company and we have already reported it to SEBI.
There is a
Completely not good in government.
Absolutely not. And that is also, I'm not going into that. While ICSI has allowed pre-certification of forms as well as scrutinizer services as permitted service for the secretarial auditor, as those services not in conflict with duties as secretarial auditor. Further, as I understand, management services shall include any kind of opinion or advice. Secretarial auditor cannot issue any kind of legal opinion. Please confirm. It already.
Yes, yes, it is very clear. So two things. So let's not get into the each and every point. The two things which have been specifically mentioned in the not to do list by ICSI. One is it should not be part of management service. So what company is supposed to do, company should do that. Secretarial auditor should not do. Even though, yeah, so that is management service. And secondly, it should not be in conflict with your secretarial audit role. That's it. These two principles one should follow. If it is conflicting, then one should not do it.
Again, I am taking one question regularly. These questions can be asked to us. Uh, is there, if there is a non-compliance due to technical error, like outcome of BM delayed due to exchange site issue, then do we need to mention even if the same was explained to SE?
Vinayji, you can go ahead.
So I think I wouldn't. So if it is explained immediately to the stock exchange and the filing is done, it is up to the exchanges then, as part of the process, whether to take action or not. And kudos to the exchanges. Many a times I've seen they take a practical view around it. So I wouldn't consider it a non-compliance if you informed the exchange and there was a genuine situation around it. But I will request Raksha ji also to share her views.
Yes, I would say that the company, that the secretary auditor should check the evidence. Many a time there is just that we are being given that, we had an error and we are not submitted it on time. But we need an evidence. If he has the sufficient evidence and is satisfactory with that, then I think it should not mention it.
Yeah. As a PCS, also, what we do is if the time limit is 30 minutes or 3 hours nowadays, so if within that the company has informed to the NSC and BSC about that issue, technical issue, and the files are also attached to that particular email. So many of the times these problems occur only for XBRL filing. For normal PDF filing, I have not seen many companies struggle with the uploading and all. So if the XBRL file is ready and it has been sent to the stock exchanges, then that clearly shows the good intent and compliance from company's side.
So, as time is over for this conversation, this is the big conversation for us. Already 5:10 we have. So, concluding remarks from the regulator first, then PCS, then corporate side for this ACSR. Aksha ji, Raksha ji.
Yes, yes. Just wanted to highlight what exchanges go through while analyzing the annual secretarial compliance report. So just wanted ki what the regulator expects from the PCS, so that we get a good annual secretarial compliance reports, and we get it. So I think we have already discussed a lot regarding the same, and that's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Devendra sir.
Yeah, so I'll take some time. So if Vinay wants to,
Yes, yes, please.
yeah, if Vinay wants to conclude it, then I will conclude, because I'll take some 5-10 minutes, because I want to give some practical insights that how you should check certain points. So if Vinay wants to conclude it first, then I'll
Yeah.
request him to go ahead.
Sure. Thanks. I'll take a couple of minutes, a couple of points to share.
Yes, please.
So I think if you are, I know many of our, audience is probably from practicing side, but for those on the corporate side, I think it's very important to look at substance over form, which means that don't start with reporting first. And whenever you implement a system, so it could be related party, it could be insider, etc., you always look at whether the system is defensible if when it comes to scrutiny, and that scrutiny can be by my auditor, can be by my regulatory authority as well. So when you are implementing a system, whatever the compliance might be, I think there are three levers that you broadly look at. One is processes and controls. Second is awareness creation, and third is your alignment with board, senior management, audit committee, whatever the forum is, right? All compliances sit within these three buckets, just that you dial up one in the case of one and you dial up the other in the case of one. I'll just give an example. If it's a related party transaction, I'll probably put largest emphasis on processes and controls, right? Technology protection, because you need 100% certainty there, right? So you'll build in process controls, etc. When you look at a Reg 30, you put a lot of effort on awareness building, because this is a situation where you need information to travel from wherever to you within a short span of time, right? What I'm trying to say is you dial up one quotient more in let's say Reg 30, and in RPT you dial up another, right? If you're kind of having this frame to implement compliance, audit and a regulatory scrutiny will become far more defensible. This is the first point I want to make. Second is, I think for all my professional friends here, I think there's one thing that is in the business world most critical, leaving aside everything else, is what is called as reputation, right? Governance going wrong is a big reputation risk, and we have seen in real cases that it is also a survival risk, right? Companies can just disappear in a matter of months if the governance has gone wrong, right? So look at, slightly elevate the sort of framework that you're looking at from, let's say, just filing to actual substantial compliance, the result of which is a particular filing, right? So these are the two broad points I just want to leave with. I wish we had more time to take questions, but that's the case. Devendraji, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So Manojji, what we had earlier planned that we will go one by one all the format, but that's okay. We have covered most of the points. But 4 5 important points which I would like to definitely share with the especially with the practicing CS, because they are going to conduct this annual secretarial compliance report. So first point is applicable SEBI regulations. So for normal companies, we know that what are the SEBI regulations which are applicable, but there are few companies which are like intermediaries, like a RTA or a merchant banker, who are also listed. Yeah. So do not restrict yourself to the list which has been given. But in addition to that, you may have to also look at the specifically applicable regulations, SEBI regulations, because of their business. So RTAs are required to follow certain SEBI regulations. If you are doing an annual secretarial compliance report of a RTA, which is a listed entity, or a merchant banker, then those regulations will have to be checked by you. So that is point number one. Point number two, which I believe is many of the times the companies would state or tell the company secretary practicing CS that do not report anything, because we have not received any objection from stock exchanges. This is a normal discussions which happen in many of the cases. So I am of the view that even if there are no observations from regulators, and if you observe any non-compliance, you must report, because there are few
Yes, definitely.
observations. Yeah, there are few non-compliances which are based on certain events, like I mentioned about that new line of business. The stock exchanges might not know that you have started a new line of business. You, while doing this audit, get to know, and then you will have to put this observation. And so it is mandatory. Second thing, which I found out in certain cases that I was doing an annual secretarial compliance report for a PSU bank, and they said that secretarial audit is not applicable to us. So very interesting point, because they are not a company per se. So provisions of Companies Act are not applicable to them. So now I think SEBI is in a so in consultation paper issued by SEBI, they are saying that in LODR they will put a point in respect of compliances of secretarial standards. So I think that in that case everything will get matched up. So that is one point which I wanted to share with all of you. Then for annual secretarial compliance report also, the practicing company secretary should take management representation letters, because nowadays you will be able to see the website of the company, you will be able to see the integrated corporate governance report submitted by the companies. Yeah, and in that the list of policies, the website updation, everything, the checklist is ready. So if as a practicing company secretary, if you look at the integrated corporate governance report, yeah, that can act as a tool for audit. So number of policies which are applicable to the company and where they are kept, you can very well go and check those websites whether the policies are there. Only thing is, in management representation letter, you should take a representation from the company that they were uploaded on the website within the prescribed time limit as per regulation 46. So this you can take as a management representation letter. Don't shy away from not taking a management representation letter for a annual secretarial compliance report. That is what my view is. Next, in respect of disqualification of directors, you need to check all the MCA websites, all the filings. In this, you can take help of some AI tool, yeah, artificial intelligence tool, which are there in the market to find out credibility of a particular director. Yeah, and if you find out that he has been there has been a case against him because of which he is getting disqualified, then you should highlight these points. So you should go beyond only the SEBI submissions. That's what I believe. Then I came across one very interesting point in respect of negative net worth of a holding company. So net worth of a holding company was negative. So there was one view which was coming out that every subsidiary in that case will become a material subsidiary because of the percentage. But that is not the case. There have been a lot of opinions which have been formed. So even if the net worth is negative, that material subsidiary should like should be the reason for that negative net worth, and the percentage will still have to be calculated. Yeah, so that is one point which I would like to mention. Then regulation 30 we have discussed a lot. There needs to be a robust system in the company, and I think Vinay like specifically pointed out that there has to be a good culture in the company so that all these things can be implemented. So regulation 30 is something which I believe is a in-depth study. So one must not just certify that company has complied with regulation 30. You will have to be really careful. Yeah. SDT software we have already discussed. Only one point which has been missed by many PCS firms, that they are also required to have a SDD software in their firm as a secretarial auditor, because you are also receiving the data and you are giving it to your connected persons. So you also need to have a SDD software installed in your company, in your firm. So that is also very very important. Rest of the things I think have been covered very well during last one hour and 23 minutes. So that's it from my side, and I must thank the institute for continuing this tradition of having webinars on every Wednesday. Yeah, because of the time schedule, we did it at 4 o'clock, but usually it is at 3 o'clock. And really, very well done, Manojji. You have compiled all the questions, and relevant questions were asked by you. I must thank President, Vice President, and the entire leadership of ICSI for continuing this good work of capacity building. and issuing certain formats of certain like ASCR. So that really is helping practicing company secretary to do better certifications. And I think we are in a very safe hand. So that's it from my side. Thank you very much. Thanks to all the panelists, because without you, I would not have been able to speak so much. So I got very good insights from your side also. Thank you.
So it's good to have this level of panelists with us with ICSI. So the concluding things is also a greater things for from your people sides, and our practicing company secretary certainly, and not only practicing company secretary, but the company secretary wherever be employed, because those employed company secretary are more challenges than the practicing company secretary.
Definitely.
So, for both the perspective, this webinar is going to be helpful. And we heard about the regulator perspective, we heard about the corporate, and we heard about the PCS. So, hope under the able leadership of our president, vice president, and our former president, all teams of ICSI going to do this type of seminar on regular basis. We are doing on this seminar regular basis, and our panelist is a different level. And those people are always as heard about the detailed things from the Devendra sir, Binerji, and Raksha ji. So it's not the simple webinar. It's required because everyone is having challenge well wherever be working, either in job or in practice, and this is the time. So everyone engaged with this thing. Some questions came ki this type of webinar should be before 31st March. So certainly we are going to take into consideration and hope we can forward this matter to our CLGC chairman, Sri Manish Gupta ji, immediate former president. And with this things, thanks to everyone for joining this wonderful webinar on ASCR. And thanks to Raksha ji, Devendra sir, and Binay ji for joining this webinar.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.